The free Excel course that you're about to watch is just a small part of Microsoft Office full course bundle. So if you want to also master Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint with my teaching style and also be able to gain a certificate of completion for the course you're watching, you can feel free to tap the first link in the description right now and join us over there in a fraction of cost. Also mentionable that this course is brought up to you by the Takeoff College, the smartest alternative currently available to the traditional education. With all that being said, I'm very excited to get started, so let's go. The next thing that I want to go through over here is the functions. So functions are a little bit different with the formulas. So let me first choose all of these cells over here, and by pressing delete, I clean them all. And then we are headed to functions. So we have plenty of these functions inside Excel. The first one is sum. So what sum does is basically summarizing specific cells that we give it. So it will summarize the content of those cells, sorry. So I start for functions actually start just like how formulas used to start. They start with equals as well. So first I say equals and I say sum. So this is the sum function, and then it will require us the values that we have. So these are how functions basically are. We have an equals, we have the name of the function, we have parentheses, and inside those parentheses we give values to the function. So I want to summarize G2, for example, so the sales of John, with G3, the sales of Sarah, with G4, with sales of Mike, with G5, sales of Anna, and G6, sales of David. So as you see, we can add endless values here, and by pressing enter, the summary of all of them will be visible over here. And that's basically how sum works and what sum does for us. The next function that we have is the minimum function. So I say equals min, and inside min, inside those parentheses of min, again, we give the address to those cells that we have. So for example, again, I use these actual cells, G2, G3, G4, G5, and G6. So what this min does is that it goes through all the cells that you give it, and it will show you the minimum value, so the lowest value that they have. So here, the minimum value is 8,500, as you see, which is for John. And if I press enter, as you see, it will show us the exact same thing that I just said, because this is the minimum to all these values that we have selected. So let me copy this selection that we've made to just paste it next times. Sorry. The next function that we have inside Microsoft Excel is max. So I say equals max, and max is basically maximum. So just like how we had in minimum, but max will show us the highest value among those selections that we've made. So the highest value over here is going to be the 13,000, which is for Sarah. If I press enter, as you see, this is showing the exact same thing over here. The next option that we have is the next function actually that we have is count. So inside count, again, we can give address to specific cells. So it will count all the valid cells, so all the cells with numbers for us. So if I here, for example, include G7, as you see, G7 is empty, but this will show me 5. I selected 6 cells, but this will only show me and count me the number of those cells which have numeric data and numbers inside them. So this can happen also with a range. So I can, for example, say A1 to G6, and as you see, this is how we make selections of ranges. And if I press enter, as you see, this will say that we have 20 over here. So let's see. We have 4 over here and we have 5 over here, and these are the only ones that it counted, you know. These texts and these dates were not counted because count only counts numeric data. So we also have count A, which is a little bit different with count. So count A will also include the text values and we'll count them as well. So again, over here, if I say A1 to G6 and press enter, as you see, now we have 42 because count A counts the texts as well as the numbers, but count only counts the number of valid numeric data that we have inside our selection. The next function that we have over here inside Microsoft Excel is the average function. So how it basically works is that it gives a range of numbers and it will provide us with the average to those numbers. So for example, I come here and say equals average, and inside the parenthesis I say G2, so this cell, to G6. And then if I press enter, it will provide us with the average to all these numbers. So average is basically, let's calculate it to see if it has done it right, you know. Average is the summary of all those numbers divided to the count of them. So if I say 8,500 plus 13,000 plus 10,800 plus 9,700 plus 12,500, and then I divide them all to 5, as you see, 10,900, just like that. So this is what we have with the average function. We also have median, which is a statistic related concept. So I am not here to try to I am not at all trying to teach you what median is and what the concept of median is, but as I said, it is a statistical concept, which is when we have plenty of data, the data in the middle, so it will sort them from the highest to the lowest, and the one in the middle will be known as the median. So if I give it a range and press enter, as you see, 10,800 is the median. So it has first sorted these, and then due to that sort that it has done, it is giving us the middle one, which is going to be known as the median. And we have it as well inside our functions. The next thing that we have is concat. So for example, let's say that I want to add this John to this department that he is working on in order to know him with that department as well. So I'm going to, for example, have a cell over here, and I want to say HR John, you know, instead of John, or sales Sarah, or IT Mike. So in order to do that, I can use the command concat, as you see. So it is about concatenating, sorry, as you see. And concat has parentheses as well. And inside those parentheses, we need to provide text. So I say A2 and C2, and I want to concat these two. If I press enter, as you see, it will say John HR. So that's how we add texts to each other, and we join two strings and use them inside our project. The next concept that we have is if. So if basically works in a more logical form. So now we are into really serious functions. So if is one of them. Before, let me remove all of these and clear here a little bit. So here I say equals if. First, we have the logic that we want to test, and we want to see if this requirement is met or not, you know. So in the parenthesis, in the first part, as I said, it's about logic. So for example, I want to say if G2, so the actual sales of John, is bigger than the F2. So the actual sales of John is bigger than the target sales of John. Then I want to say excellent and comma, then this is else. So this is if this requirement is not met. So I say if not, say try harder and close the parenthesis. If I press enter, value if true, value if false. What can the problem be? We needed to specify these with quotations, so these will be provided as strings. So as you see, this says try harder. I copy the very function that I wrote, and over here I paste it, but instead of G2 I say G3, and instead of F2 I say F3. So this is about Sarah. As you see, to Sarah it says excellent, and I can do the same over and over. G4, F4, try harder, you know. G5, F5, try harder. Let me see. Nah, a mistake is made here. So G5, yes, excellent. And the last one, G6, sorry, G6 and F6. So this is how if and conditions work inside Microsoft Excel. So the other function that we have over here and we want to talk about is COUNTIF. So COUNTIF will basically go through a range and see where and how many times is the logic and the requirement met, and it will show us the count of those times that these requirements have been met. So let me show you something. For example, I choose this range. I say equals COUNTIF, and inside of it, first it wants a range, so I can select it, and as you see, it will be applied over here. And then I say over 10,000 and close it. Sorry, it's only about equals. So I say 9,500 and I press enter. And as you see, it says that we have one single value of this 9,500 in the range that you provided me with. So let me show you with a better example. For example, we have these numbers over here. And these are all 2s and 1s and 3s. And then I choose this range, and over here I say equals count if inside the range the cell is 1. As you see, it says that we have 3 1s. Again, I say count if inside the range when we have 2. As you see, it says that we have 6 2s. And I say count if inside the range we have 3. And it says 3, just like that. So this is how count if basically works. So we also have value lookups. So how they basically work is that we say equals VLOOKUP, which is a very, very commonly used and very cool, but a little bit complex function. So inside the VLOOKUP, as you see, at first we need to specify the value that we are looking for. So for example, let's say that I am looking for the salary of John or the salary of Anna, right? So I say I am looking for Anna. This is what I'm looking for. Then it says the table array. So I choose the entire table, as you see. Then it says the column index number. So here we have Anna, and I need to start counting from here. So this is the first column, the second, the third, and salary is placed in the fourth column. So I want to find the number which is set for Anna in the fourth column. And then it says approximate match or exact match. So this will basically work. How this will work is that if I say true, it will go and look for Anna. And if, for example, I have written Anna with a capital A, but we have Anna with small a inside our text, it will not find us that Anna. But if I say exact match, with approximate match, it will count small Anna with capital Anna, both as one single thing, you know. It's all about cases. It's all about those letter cases and stuff. So I say true, and then I close it and press enter. What is the problem over here? Value not available. So let me see. I may be making a mistake over here, but this is basically how VLOOKUP works, and these are the values that it gets in order to give you that thing that you are looking for. So the next thing that we have over here, the next function that we have is SUMIF. So SUMIF is cool as well. So let me create another sheet over here. Let me open another sheet that we had for pivot tables. That's very cool, actually, for this purpose. So as you see, here we have plenty of purchases that have happened by plenty of customers. And for example, Diana has done many of purchases over here. So here, for example, in order to use SUMIF, I will be able to say equals SUMIF. So let me show you how it works basically. First, it gets a range. So I give it the entire table. Then it will get the value that you are looking for. So for example, I am looking for the revenue that Diana has generated us. So the total money that Diana has spent. So in the criteria part, I say Diana. And then in the sum range, it is about the range that it wants to look for. So I choose this revenue. And the last function that I wanted to talk about is equals now parenthesis. It doesn't get any kind of value inside it. You just need to say equals now parenthesis. And by pressing enter, as you see, it will provide us with the very date and hour that we are currently in right now. So this is all that we had with the Microsoft Excel Essentials. Now you are pretty familiar with the software, actually very familiar with the software. And what needs to happen right now is that you need to do multiple projects, real world projects, in order to increase your experiences with Microsoft Excel. But now you do have the essential talents and skills that are required in order to use Microsoft Excel.